Hello. Hi. How are you doing? Oh, let me just let other people in. Welcome, welcome. Now today, hello. Can't seem to get the lighting right here, can I? It's either too bright or I'm a bit dark. We're going to use the small ball, but don't worry if you don't have one. Yay, you do have one, excellent. Da, da, da. Is everyone in? Is everybody in? Yay! Cool. So yeah, we're using the small ball, but if you don't have yours, don't worry, or if you don't have one yet, because all the exercises that we will do with this, you can do pretty much without any kind of change, without one. It's just that, hello, it's just that if you do have one, it kind of enhances the exercise and makes it slightly different and makes you a bit curious about how it feels. Hello, hello. So Donato, if you've got your ball, go and grab it. But don't worry if you haven't got one. So it's really not the end of the world. You will still be able to do everything without having to adapt or change or do anything differently. Now I'm going to just stay here for a minute because there are a few people who are still coming. So we're going to start standing. So adopt a lovely familiar standing position to begin with. Just stand the way that you normally would stand, as if you're waiting for the kettle to boil or a bus. And I want you just to notice that familiar pattern in your body. So try not to adjust yet, just sort of notice what feels like home to you in your standing position. And then as you stand there and allow your breath to start to begin to come into a gentle, slightly more rhythmic pattern, then begin to organize your body a little bit more consciously as well. So have a look down towards your feet. And as you're looking down at your feet, just take your hands onto the bony parts of your pelvis, so your two hip bones, which for me are right in here from the outside. Depends completely on your own skeleton and proportions, but it's around about kind of a couple of fingers walking in towards the center of your, towards your navel. And then I want you to place your feet directly underneath those two bony parts of your pelvis. So allowing your body to be balanced directly over the arches of your feet. And while you're organizing your feet, just lift up your toes and then feather them down as if you're playing a little piano. With each individual toe, kind of orientate yourself onto the ground. And then allow there to be a conscious sense of lift and length up. So thinking about the heaviness of your feet, allow there to then be a lightness sort of gathering through the arch of your foot, and draw that energy up and allow it to travel through the spine, out through the crown of your head. So can you imagine as you're breathing that you're creating length and space in between every vertebra of your spine, almost like kind of spots of sunlight are able to shine through. And allow your shoulder blades just to soften down into your back. We're not pushing them down, but just allow them to release. And simultaneously think about the crown of your head growing tall. So we've got a sense of opposition down, grounded into the floor through your feet, but lifted and lengthened. My computer is linked to Ben's phone. So if you've lost me, it's because his sister is FaceTiming him. So I'm sorry about that. So lovely and light through the crown of your head, grounded through your feet. Close your eyes if that helps you to kind of just tune in a little bit to how your body is feeling today. And I want you to see how that feels. I'll chop my head off. I want you to see how that feels in comparison to, if you can, make a mental note compared to your natural familiar stance, your standing position that you adopted to begin with. How does this feel in connection in relation to that? Do you feel a little bit taller, a little bit longer? Let's just see if you can breathe in through the nose and then just sigh the breath out through the mouth. So for the next 2 breaths, really release your breath. Expel it as if you're sighing, fogging a window in front of you, in through the nose. And out through the mouth, 1 more in. And now you can keep your eyes closed or flutter the eyelids open, depending on how you feel. It completely doesn't matter. We're going to breathe in, and this time just allow your arms to open out to the side, like an umbrella opening. And then breathe out, softly close, pressing the arms down. Imagine that there's resistance in the air. So as you breathe in and open, you're softly pressing as if you're underwater, like a jellyfish. And breathing out, pressing the arms down to release down. Let's do 3 more like that. Breathing in to open. Breathing out. Softly close. Last 2. In to open. Let the shoulder blades stay soft on the body. See if you can keep the shoulders from rising up to the ears. And instead allow there to be just a soft opening, as if you're just opening a cape. Your superhero cape for tonight, and then release the arms all the way down and let them soften there down by your side for a moment. Maybe imagine the fingertips are nice and heavy, so you can really let the arms drape down by your side. Let's bring the palms now to face back behind you. See if you can do that though without rolling the shoulders forward. So it's just a case of slightly swiveling so that the palms connect and release back behind, but we're keeping the collarbones wide across the front of your body. I want you to breathe in, float the arms up in front of you, so softly opening through the front of your body. See if you can keep a sense of length, so the softness of the ribs is really important here. We're not letting the shoulders and the rib cage rise, we're keeping the front of the body long, and then breathe out, press the arms down. And when you release the arms down, allow them to come back behind you a little bit. So imagine that pressing through substance. We're reaching back. Breathe in to float up. Breathe out, pressing down. Collarbones stay wide. Front of the body stays long. Reach the arms back. You've got 2 more like that. Breathing in. Imagine the space between your pubic bone and your breastbone stays even as you lift the arms up and as you press them down. And last one, floating the arms up. Just allow the front of the body to be nice and long. And then this time, as you release the arms down, I want you to rise up onto your toes. So just pressing the floor away, all 10 toes connecting evenly. So try not to let the big or the little toes ping up. And then release the heels down. Let's just gently float the arms just to shoulder height now. And then again, pressing them down as you rise up. Almost imagine you're kind of operating a lever through the arms and through the feet. And again, 2 more like this. So pressing the arms back as you lift up. And slowly lower down as you lift. Last one. And release. And this time just let the arms release all the way up, and then take your hands, interlace them behind your head. So see if you can sort of give your head a nice little kind of sling. So we're trying to kind of really cup and connect with the base of your skull. You want to find out where the back of your head naturally sits on your spine, and see if you can gently kind of lengthen and release it up away from the shoulder blades a little bit. It's a really good trick if you're sitting at work and feeling like you're kind of slumping forward, just taking the hands and softly lift and elongate through the crown of your head. Let's have the elbows just in your peripheral vision, so we're not pinging them out to the side. I want you to feel like the shoulder blades are resting on the back of your rib cage. You're going to breathe in and rise the shoulders up to the ears, and breathe out, release them down. Let's do 2 more. Breathe in and rise. And release them down. Last one, lift. And release. Good. Now stay here with the arms. Unless it feels like there's any pressure through the neck and shoulders, in which case just let them release down by your side. So you check in with how your body and your shoulders are feeling. Let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, I want you just to rise up over to the left. So let's see if we can lift up and over with both sides of your waist. So imagine the left and the right side lifting out the hips, and then come back through center. And let's go the other way. On your in breath, let's come over and breathe out. Come back. Notice if the shoulders are rising up. See if you can keep them soft, and the neck stays nice and long. So as if you're reaching the crown of your head into the corner of the room, and back through center. Let's breathe in to come over, and breathe out to come back. Now stay here. Take a breath in, and I want you on your out breath to softly lengthen the back of the neck. So you can kind of allow your back of the neck to be lifted by your thumbs and nod the chin to the chest and just curl forward. But we're not curling with the pelvis. I want you to almost imagine your pubic bone is reaching forward towards your nose, and then lengthen the nose forward, restack your spine, lift up. Breathing in. Breathing out. Let's lengthen through the back of the neck, nod the nose forward, draw in a little bit through the belly, draw the pubic bone forward, so you're kind of creating a little C shape of the spine, and then breathing in. Let's come back up. Let's do one more on the out breath, nodding the chin to the chest, curling the spine over, and then pressing the back of the head into the hands, lifting yourself back up. And let's release the arms down, just shaky, shaky. Let's do a little bit of a lovely high five to yourself. Maybe high bottom, patting yourself on the back for making it to class tonight. Little swivels through your hips. You can go as kind of deep into the ankles and the hips as you want, or you can keep it quite low. Whatever feels nice and nourishing. And then I want you to make your way to the top or the bottom of the mat, whichever kind of resonates with you as a space. We want to have the whole of the mat in front of you. And I want you to place your feet in line with your hips once more. So thinking about spreading the toes, lifting through the arch of the foot, lengthening up through the spine. I always say I'm not going to wear this baggy jumper, but it's just quite chilly, so I just wanted to wear it. Sorry, guys. So I want you to think about, last week we talked about organising the heavy parts of your torso, the pelvis, the rib cage, the head. So I want you to think about those spaces again, thinking about your womb centre, your heart centre. Obviously, Nikki, you don't have a womb centre. Your pelvic centre, heart centre, and your mind centre at the top. And as you're standing, think about those three places in a lovely balanced position, almost like orbs just balancing on top of each other. And as you're standing, just think about how you can organise those places in a lovely balance. So notice how that feels to you, whether you feel that naturally you'll slightly roll forward with one, maybe the head, maybe the ribs, maybe the hips. See if you can imagine them stacked evenly and in line. We're going to take a breath in. And as you breathe out, same movement we did before, but without your hands behind the head. You're going to lengthen through the back of the neck, start to look down, and begin now to roll your spine down bone by bone. So the arms are really heavy, and just letting the shoulders drop off the back of the body. Roll yourself all the way down. The knees can bend, so don't try and force them to straighten if that doesn't feel right for your spine, for your hamstrings. Let's enjoy this lovely fold forward. If you want to, take the bum against the wall if you prefer, as you warm up the spine a bit. Breathing in. Breathing out. Let's send the tailbone down and start to rebuild. Thinking about your pelvis, then placing the ribs on top of the pelvis, and then finally the head on top of the ribs. Let's take a breath in. Breathing out, eyes down, chin down. Let's gently roll. The tailbone lengthens up towards the sky. Relax the crown of the head towards the floor, breathing in. As you're here, stay for a couple of breaths and notice where the weight is on your feet. So notice if you're hanging back into the ankles and the heels. See if you can allow your weight to adjust slightly further through the center of the foot, the arches of your foot. over the toes a little bit. See how that allows your tummy to engage slightly more consciously. Breathing in. And breathing out, reset. Take an extra breath if you need to. We don't want to be holding our breath at any point. Lengthen up. The crown of the head lifts. Breathe in. Now, I'm going to show you what we're going to do next, because there are going to be levels. There are always levels. So the first, or the level you can choose from, number one, is we're going to start by floating the arms up towards the ceiling. Now you can go all the way to the ceiling. My ceiling doesn't let me because it's very low. And then, but as long as you can reach up to the ceiling without pinging the rib cage up. So we're thinking about pubic bone, rib cage, staying connected. We're then going to fold forward with the arms. So just watch to begin with. Finding the floor, you can bend your knees as much as you need to in order to find the floor. And then we're going to walk ourselves out into a plank or into 4-point kneeling. Okay, so don't come into a plank if that feels too strong for your wrists or your shoulders or your tummy generally or your spine. Then we're going to come up with the bottom, walk ourselves back and roll back up. So we're going to do that 5 times, which is actually going to be quite a lot of sort of getting the blood moving in the body. It might make you a bit hot. You might need to take off a layer. If you want to, just stay with the roll downs and the rolls back up. If you feel that going out into a plank or 4-point kneeling is going to be too much for you to begin with. Okay, so if you don't feel your body's warm enough and you don't want to, stay with the roll downs. So breathing in. Breathing out, let's just lengthen up through the spine. Now, as you breathe in, I want you to float your arms up towards the ceiling. And then breathing out, almost imagine pressing a lever down as you nod the nose in line with the arms. Keep the arms nice and heavy now and just let the spine release forward. Bending your knees as much as you need to, find the floor with your hands. Now either lower the knees completely in one move or walk yourself out into your plank so the pelvis stays in line with the shoulders. Tummy lifted, spine long, breathing. As you breathe out, nod the chin to the chest. We're going to reverse that. So you're walking back, finding the floor with your heels and your hands once more. Bend the knees if you need to and roll back up. As you begin to restack the rib cage, the arms come up too. And then breathe out, let's come down. Finding the floor. The tummy stays lifted, so the more you get into it, think about how you can really strengthen the movement by consciously engaging through your center, walking out, try not to wibble and wobble the bum from side to side. Breathe in. Breathe out, nod the chin to the chest. Walk yourself back. Breathing in, pause. Breathing out, rising up. As the shoulders gather into the back, the arms fold and float up. Maybe pause there for an extra breath if you need to. Let the shoulders soften. We've got 3 more, I said 5, didn't I? So let's press the arms down, nod the chin to the chest. I may well be counting wrong, I always do. Find the floor and rock yourselves out. Try not to wobble the bottom too much. Pelvis in line with the hips, or the knees come down. Breathing in. Breathing out and nodding the chin to the chest. Walking yourselves back. Allow there to be softness in the neck and shoulders before you then rise up. So we're trying not to carry any tension with us at any point. Floating the arms up. We've got 2 more. Pause, soften, nice and tall through the crown of the head, heavy through the feet. Let's press the arms down, nod the chin to the chest. Lift through the belly. So imagine you're rolling over a washing line for a moment. So you're really lifting through your center to find the floor. Lower yourselves out. Knees can come down. Remember, just look after your body. You can even come into rest position if you feel that this is just a bit too much. It doesn't feel fun. And rolling up, last one to come. Floating the arms up, soft shoulders, long neck. Last one, pressing the arms down. Let's lengthen, almost like you're kind of diving into a lovely cool pool. Maybe a warm pool, I suppose it's November. Let's walk ourselves out. Oh, and let's stay here for a moment, breathing in. And then as you breathe out, bring the knees down, nice and wide through the knees. And then you're just going to let your bottom soften. Release your arms out in front of you. And lengthen the forehead all the way down. And enjoy that for a moment. You have permission to completely soften while I, oh, got something on my hand, while I adjust my camera. So breathing into the sensations that you're feeling in the body. So notice how you feel around the shoulders. Notice your heart rate. Notice your neck, your hips. Just gently kind of meander around any and all sensations that you're finding. See if you can breathe and just allow gravity to let your body soften into the mat in the position, in the parts of your body that are connecting into the mat. If you felt that quite a lot in your shoulders, maybe just gently wrap your arms around you, creating a little stone position so you can really let the shoulders soften completely. Breathe. And then when you're ready, softly roll yourself back up, bone by bone. And we're going to grab the ball, but don't worry if you don't have one. We're going to take the ball in between the knees. So your knees are always going to be hip width apart. So if you haven't got the ball or if it doesn't feel comfortable, there's no difference in the position that you're adopting without the ball. So there's no fear of missing out here. It's just the same physical position, but without that feedback of the ball connecting the two sides of your body together. So into your 4-point kneeling position, just take a moment to organize your spine. In the same way that you did when you're standing, think about the 3 kind of points of your body, the 3 kind of points on the map. Your pelvis, your shoulder blades around the rib cage, and the head. So try and think about the backs of those 3 positions, the points of your body. So the head, ribs, bottom, and whether you can line them up as if you have a pole just softly resting on them. So there wouldn't be one part of the body sticking up, the others sinking down. We want to really feel that they're organized and balanced, those 3 positions against each other. Now, let's take a lovely deep breath in. Let your tummy fully soften. So imagine like a really soft hammock from the breastbone to the pubic bone. You're just really actively letting go of any tension in your belly, which might feel a bit weird and counterintuitive. Breathe into that softness. And then as you breathe out, without moving your spine at all, let's gently draw up and in from that space. So thinking about pubic bone lift all the way up towards your breastbone. Activate that abdominal wall, but without pressing the spine. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe out, lifting gently through the abdominal wall. So we're thinking, if it's available to you, if you consciously know that that helps you, lifting through the pelvic floor first and then lower belly up towards the bottom rib. And then breathe in, let them soften. Let your head be soft and free, so maybe roll from side to side if there's any tension there at all. Let's do one more, breathe in. And breathe out, lifting and gently activating the lower belly. Now from here, see if you can maintain that lift as you then breathe in and send the breath into the back of your body. So we're trying to maintain your abdominal activation here. And I want you on your out breath, let's tuck the toes underneath you and just hover your knees. And then breathe in, let them go. Relax, maybe lengthen the feet, you keep them curled under if that works for you. On your out breath, tuck and lift your knees. Now if you have your ball, gently squeeze the ball too. See if that helps you with your abdominal engagement. And then release it down, in breath. Breathing out, lift. So notice if you've tucked or you've pressed the spine up, see if you can just simply hinge up rather than curling the spine. and release. You'll feel this in the arms. Last 2. And lower, last 1. And release. Let's just drop back, circle through the wrists or place the palms up and release the forehead down. Maybe spread the fingers, gently ripple through the wrists to make sure they're nice and soft. Breathing in, breathing out. And then we're going to come back to our 4-point kneeling. If you feel it's going into your wrists, maybe come down onto the elbows, or make a fist, whatever you can do to soften the energy into the wrist joints, or just rest yourself back. So if it's too much, you know, adjust accordingly, but don't go crazy. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, I would like you just to softly squeeze your ball and then tuck the tailbone underneath you. Let's come into a cat, so undulating through the spine, finishing with a nod of the chin to the chest. And then lengthen the tailbone away from the crown of the head, open into the spine. Allow your breastbone to open forward unless you feel that's too much for your lower back, in which case just stay in that neutral position without arching. And then roll the pelvis underneath you. Just breathe however you feel works for you with this movement. So all we're doing is trying to mobilize the spine. Let's do 2 more. Little gentle squeezes with the ball if that's available for you. Last 1. And back through center. Let's tuck the toes underneath you and just hover the knees once more. And then I want you to send the crown of the head, the tailbone towards the ceiling, and lengthen the spine up. So if you feel that you can feel this in your hamstrings too much, I want you to bend the knees. Even if you're squeezing the ball, just softly activate the inner thighs and let the knees soften so that you can let the spine lengthen. So what we're looking for is an openness of the spine, not a round spine. So see if you can really soften the breastbone forward. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's pick up the heels, lower the knees, and then release all the way down into your rest position once more. If you like, for a moment, you can just bring your ball out and rest your forehead on it, if that works for you. It's quite a nice way of releasing tension in the neck and shoulders. Or just place it to the side. Breathe. And then we're going to roll back up. We're going to do a little twisty move now, using the ball, if you have it. Let's take the ball to the side of the mat, around just slightly lower than your shoulder position. We're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, I want you to place the fingertips. You might actually want to have it just underneath or behind your wrist actually. Place the fingertips in the backs of the palm onto the ball. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, and you can do it without the ball exactly the same, just hovering them away against the floor. We're going to send the ball towards the computer, if you're me, bending the supporting arm and just twisting through the spine. So the ball allows you a little bit more feedback for that twist. Breathing in, breathing out, bring it back through center. And here we're going to press the floor away and twist up towards the ceiling. And then coming back through center, find the ball, twist underneath. Exactly the same without the ball. So we're just hovering and reaching. And then coming back through center, lengthening up, trying not to send your hips to one side. Keep the tailbone central as you twist the rib cage around the spine. Last 1. Twist. And back through center. Lengthen. This is my really sticky side. I'm trying really not to send my bum across to join the hand. And then from back through center, let's reach ourselves back. Circle this supporting wrist. You might feel it's a little bit tired. Breathe. And let's come back up and go the other way. So placing the ball either directly underneath or behind the hand, or slightly to the side, whichever kind of worked better for your orientation. What we want to be feeling with this is that we're twisting like a kind of, almost like a rotisserie chicken. So we're round rather than across. We don't want to feel like we're going in a diagonal across. We're twisting around the spine. So see if you can really get as much rotation in the spine as possible. Breathing in. Breathing out to twist. And then coming back through center, pressing into your supporting arm, lifting up and open. And back through center, bending in the supporting arm here. Allow that to help you twist into the rib cage. And open. One side may well feel easier than the other. This is definitely my easy side. Notice if your shins are even or if one leg likes to kind of ping up, which may be a sign of a little tightness in the hips. And then back through center. Let's release, release, release. Breathing nice and deeply. Completely come into that little stone position if that feels nice for you. If you're not loving being on all fours anymore, have a little rest lying on your back. We're just going to breathe for a few moments. Gently kind of recalibrating the body and noticing, as we did before, where you're feeling it, where the sensations are kind of softly resonating. And then when you are ready, let's roll back up, bone by bone. And let's come into a sitting position. Sit with your legs crossed, but cross them the way that you don't normally cross them. So if you've automatically taken one leg in front, just see whether you can challenge that automatic habit and see how weird it feels. It might not feel weird at all, it might be lovely. So see if you can see or notice whether you habitually always favour one side more than the other, which we all do. It'd be weird if we didn't. Again, can do this with or without the ball. The ball just gives us a little bit of feedback. But if you're not with the ball, you just have the floor as feedback, and that's totally cool. So I want you to begin with, just try and lift up through the spine. If you need a pillow or a little block underneath your tailbone or sit bones, maybe a little folded up part of your mat, take that so that you can feel a little bit more lifted. So what we want to avoid in our seated position is automatically rolling the pelvis underneath. See if you can lift up tall. Imagine that same sense of space in the spine as you had when we were standing. Encouraging a sense of lift out through the hips. And then placing your hands either on the floor, softly and lightly with the fingertips, or onto the ball. And let's take a breath in. If, by the way, this is challenging for your knees to have your legs crossed, you can have them straight. So don't worry. We're going to breathe in. And as you breathe out, softly lengthen the ball forward and allow your spine first to stay lifted and lengthen, the breastbone reaching forward until you can no longer create any more space in the lumbar spine, and then just allow the spine to drape forward. So you want to be quite gentle on yourself. I don't want you to force yourself all the way down. Instead, come to a point where you feel that you can create that space and then layer yourself down in that lovely comfort zone. Breathing in there, breathing out, breathing in, and then softly roll the spine, rolling the ball back up. We're going to change the cross of your legs. See how that feels. Maybe adjust your buttock flesh if you need to. We're going to go on the diagonal now, so taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, either rolling the ball or softly pressing through the fingertips. And again, I want you to think lift out through the spine, and then lower. So don't force it. Try and feel like this arm comes across the body and reaches and stretches that space between the hip and the rib. Breathe into that space. So for me, it's my right side. If you're mirroring me, it'll be your left side. Try and imagine that that sit bone is quite heavy, so we're trying to stay grounded through the parts of the body that are reaching the floor, but lengthened and lifted out through the rest. Breathing in, breathing out. And then we're going to softly roll the ball back. Come to the middle position for a moment and organise your spine. Heart centre above your pelvis, crown of the head lifted. See if you can balance the points between each transition. Think about organising yourself. Take a couple of breaths and let's go the other way. I'm going to roll across. To my right might be your left, whichever way you are going. So reaching the fingertips away from the sit bone. Try and plant both sit bones evenly if you can, breathing into that lovely diagonal reach. Notice if one side feels tighter than the other. And then gently roll it back. Place the ball to one side for now. And then just take if you're mirroring me, take your left leg out to the side, keeping your right leg at the front of the mat. It doesn't really matter which left and right, so we're going to do both sides, it doesn't matter. Notice now though, whether one side of your pelvis is lifted up. So see if you can soften the pelvis down without putting any pressure on the knees. So if it does feel like it's too much for the knees, either stay in your cross-legged position, or you can just kind of orientate yourself with that other leg out in front. So it depends how, I know some of you are working with dodgy knees. So let's work with your knees rather than against them. If there's any sensation in the knee, don't ignore it. See if you can soften both sides of your sit bones down, but without causing any tension anywhere else. So if that means keeping it slightly lifted, maybe see if you can still organise the spine evenly away from the hips. Breathing in. As you breathe out, let's allow the arms to release down by your side. You're going to float your right arm up towards the ceiling if you are mirroring me. Shoulder blades nice and soft, breathing in, and as you breathe out, lift up and over. So we're reaching towards your bent leg, trying to lift out through this opposite side as well. So kind of like the bottom underside of a rainbow, both sides still lengthening, breathing in. Breathing out, float that arm, find the floor. Now you can either keep the pelvis grounded or you can lift up through the hips as you reach up and over. So whichever feels right for you, either staying down, lift up, or lift up through the hips too. And then release the arm down. We're going to do 2 more in either direction. So lifting up and over. Breathing into that stretch. Float the arm down, find the floor, lengthening up and reach. So you're really lifting through this underside of the waist as well. And lower, last one either side, lifting up, long neck, soft shoulder, reach over. And coming back, find the floor, lift up, paint a little line on the ceiling with your rainbow, lengthening over. And then come back through center. If you can, transition to the other side, keeping your arms lifted, just to see how tricky that is to organise. If you need to, obviously use your hands to kind of shimmy your leg around. Bringing the legs around, and again, adjust however you need to with your knees. If it helps, maybe bring the knees slightly towards each other. Notice if one side feels very normal on the pelvis and the other side suddenly feels like you're kind of really skew with. See if you can bring that sense of heaviness to the sit bones, even if they're not connecting. Although you can always take your ball and stick it underneath one sit bone if it feels like it's not quite reaching that feedback and you want it to. Breathing in, let the arms relax to the floor. And then floating that arm up, relax the shoulder. And let's come all the way across. Breathe into that stretch. So it doesn't matter if you move on the in-breath, as long as you take an in-breath when you're there. And then breathing out, let's come back, windmill the arm down, either keeping the pelvis heavy or you can rise up through the hips as you lift up and over. Breathing in, breathing out, plant the bottom on the floor, lift up and over. Notice if one side feels super, super tight. See if you can breathe into any tightness rather than resisting it. Often we're like, and we feel tight, when actually we want to go, ooh, I welcome this tightness. And I breathe into it. One more either side, reach up and over. And fanning your arms up, lifting and lengthening, or keeping the bum down if you need to. And lower. And then just bringing this leg back in front of you, or both legs out in a wide-legged stance if that's better, and just taking the hands onto the knees or softly onto the thighs. And close your eyes. Let's just focus on the breath for these little transition breaths. Checking in with your heart rate. Seeing if you can soften the shoulders. Seeing if you can create space into the lower back and out through the crown of your head. Breathe. And then from here, we are going to take the ball, shimmy around on your mat, maybe bum shuffle your way towards the end of your mat a little bit so that you have the whole expanse of your mat to roll down onto. And I want you to place your ball in between the knees. Again, doesn't matter if you don't have the ball or you don't want to squeeze the ball if your knees aren't loving it. I want to try and lengthen the toes towards the end of your mat. So see if you can, often toes want to be quite light and lifty. And I want you to see if you can ground and connect. Feel really like you're earthing yourself into the ground. Taking your hands either behind the thighs, or if you feel like you're already a little bit warm and you quite like the idea of challenging the abdominals a bit more, you can release the arms out by your side. You can kind of do a mixture of the two, whichever you prefer. Let's relax the shoulders into the back, whatever you do. And maybe if you need to, adjust your bum flesh so you're really sitting on the sit bones rather than kind of tucking the tailbone underneath to begin. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to lift deeply into your pelvic floor. So think back passage through to front. Imagine like the hammock of muscles is just softly lifting away from your mat. Keep that engagement. We're going to just softly send the tailbone underneath you. Squeeze your ball as you curl your spine into a little crescent moon shape. So your nose is softly releasing towards your navel, the crown of the head lengthening up and over. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let's softly roll forward with that C curve and then rebuild. The crown of the head stacks. Breathing in. Breathing out, lifting up through your center. So pelvic floor, lower belly. Let's tuck the tailbone underneath you. Little C shape. And then just if you can, ever so slightly lower that C shape back. Shoulders soft into the body. Breathing in. Breathing out. Rebuild. Crown of the head lengthens. You can rest your arms down, take the hands behind the thighs, whichever works, especially if you're having any tension in the shoulders here. Breathing in. Let's go. You've got 3 more. Take a breath on your out breath. Lifting through your center. Tuck the tailbone underneath you. Little squeeze of your ball as you gently curl. Lower yourself down as far as you can comfortably without the feet pinging up. Keeping that lower belly nice and active. Breathing in. Breathing out. Roll forward. Back onto the sit bones and lift up. Did I say 3 more or 2 more? Oh, I don't know. Let's do 2 more. Breathing in as you breathe out. Drawing in through your center, supporting muscles. Roll the pelvis underneath you. Curl into your C shape and then roll it back as far as you can comfortably manage. So you may be feeling a little tremor of truth. That's what happens in Pilates, but I don't want you to be feeling any strain anywhere. So see if you can deepen the abdominals. Squeeze the ball a little bit more. Breathing in. Breathing out. Let's roll forward. And rebuild, soften the shoulders, last one. As you breathe out, lifting through your center, roll the tailbone underneath you, gently into your C curve, then roll it all the way back as far as you can go, still maintaining that lovely active lower belly, soft neck, lengthening the crown of the head, breathing in, breathing out. Let's roll forward and up. Take the ball away, take the legs to the side and just roll yourself all the way forward into a little butterfly stretch. So you might feel that your thigh muscles, your hip flexors rather, are feeling a little bit grippy. That's because your lower tummy was going, oh, it's quite hard, and the psoas muscles that flex your legs were clinging on for dear life. So now let's switch them off for a moment and release forward. We'll stretch them properly a little bit later. Breathing in, breathing out. Maybe roll the head from side to side if you feel like there's a little bit of tension creeping into the shoulders towards the end there. And then rolling all the way up. If you can bear it, take the ball back in between the knees. And we're going to roll all the way down to the floor this time. So either use your hands and roll yourself with the support of your hands, or we're going to do that again, but this time lower all the way down as much as we can with control. So we're trying not to get there and then slump down. So see if you can really control the process. The ball will help you by if you continue to squeeze it. So either hands behind the thighs, really use the thighs if that will help, or arms out by your side, out in front of you. Take a breath in as you breathe out. Lifting through your supporting muscles. So really stabilize yourself first. Tuck the tailbone underneath you and lengthen your spine down. Now you might need to creep your heels a bit further towards your sit bones to help. Let's see if we can softly roll bone by bone. So resist, resist, resist gravity, rolling it down. Oh, find the floor, lovely. Bring the feet a little bit closer to your bum. Oh, I haven't got a pillow. If you have got a pillow and you need one, take it underneath your head. Let's, for a moment, those of you who want to, place the ball underneath your bum. But if you don't have one, and obviously you can't if you don't have one, but if you don't want to, we're going to keep the ball in between the knees anyway for a moment. But it's just quite nice if you want to let the lower back release with the pelvis and the ball. So take your hands onto your tummy, and I want you really to just allow the feedback of either the mat or the ball underneath the sacrum to let you relax your hips. So imagine the thigh bones dropping into their sockets. Where can you feel the front of your hip joints just letting go a little bit? So chances are a lot of you have been sitting down quite a lot today, so your legs have been permanently kind of held in this position in your desk. See if you can imagine almost like sand drizzling out of your pockets, a sense of tension releasing out of those muscles. And if you are on your ball, you can use the outline of the shape of the ball to help you. What we're going to do now is just imagine a clock face on your belly. So your pubic bone is 6. Your navel is 12, and your 2 hip bones are 3 and 9. And can you fill in the rest of the clock face? So imagine every minute and every hour marked. You have a marble in the center of the belly. I want you to roll that marble to 12. So tucking the tailbone underneath you, let your pelvis, your pubic bone lift, and really imagine what it would take to roll that marble. Now you're going to roll it to 3. Then down to 6 without letting your ribcage flare too much. Across to 9 and back up to 12. Let's do 3 more in this direction. It's exactly the same if you don't have the ball underneath you. So you just have the mat as a guide, just softly lengthening. Well, obviously with the ball we have a bigger range of movement. But I want you to imagine the pelvis moving around the thigh bones rather than the thighs kind of lolling around. Try and keep the knees quite stable. Imagine that you're rolling the sockets around the thigh bones. So you're kind of oiling the joints a little bit. Notice if there's any part of the clock face that feels a little bit sticky. And also notice what's going on through the upper body. Do you feel like you're kind of rolling in the shoulders and the rib cage? Can you feel quite grounded from the rib cage upwards? Let's come back to 12 and then change direction. Go from 12 to 9, down to 6, across to 3, and back. Now this is one of the most, in inverted commas, basic Pilates exercises, but it is incredibly challenging because it's a movement that we don't create like once we turn 7 and stop hula hooping all the time. So basically this is a really important kind of balancing movement for our spine, this lovely rotation, but what's the word? Is it circumvention? Clearly not a word, but what I mean, it's not only rotation, but it's also lateral movement as well. So it's a kind of lovely circumlocation. I will find the word and I will use it properly next week. Notice if one side, one direction feels easier, harder than the other, and we're going to then rest ourselves back in the center. When you get back to your 12, then rest back. So your clock face is even and your marble is resting back on your tummy. And then I want you just to lift your bum off your ball if it's on the ball. Take the ball away, but keep the bum lifted. And then just roll your spine down, bone by bone. Place the ball in between the knees. Feet hip width apart. Organize yourself now, and much more kind of consciously again. So thinking about the space between the ribs, the pelvis, the head. Let the arms release down by your side. You can have your palms facing up if that lets you soften the shoulders a bit. And try and keep your eye focus ever so slightly down your nose. So we're not looking back up beyond your eyebrows. You're looking either directly ahead of you or slightly down beyond your nose. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, tuck the tailbone underneath you. So this is the same movement you did when you were sitting upright, but now we're going to roll up through the spine, lifting through the hips. Keep the ball squeezing in between the knees if you can. And notice your toes, big toe heavy, all toes grounded. Breathe in. Breathe out, wheel the spine down, so like a bicycle chain, evenly moving bone by bone. Settle your pelvis at the bottom, breathing in, breathing out, wheeling up through the spine bone by bone. Pressing up through the hips. This is a lovely stretch for those hip flexors, thinking about opening up through the front of the thigh joints, breathing in, breathing out, rolling it down. Now, if the ball squeeze does affect or go into your knee joints at all, just take the ball away. So I don't want you to feel like it's aggravating anything at all. Breathing in. Let's do one more like this, just a lovely, simple, fluid motion of the spine. Breathing in at the top. And breathing out, melting the spine down, finding the floor with the pelvis. Float the arms up towards the ceiling now. Palms facing forward. Remember that movement we did when we were standing to begin with at the front at the beginning of class. So we're going to do exactly the same movement now and see how it feels with the feedback of the floor behind you in space. So taking a breath in. As you breathe out, float the arms back behind you. Keep the bottom rib and the pelvis heavy. So we're trying not to arch the back. And then float the arms up and release them down. Let's do that 3 times. So thinking about movement through space as if the air has substance, you're moving through water or sort of pressing evenly through soft clouds. Release it down. Let's do 2 more. Lengthen the fingertips, but keep the pubic bone heavy. And lower. Last one. Float the arms up and then release it down. And then lengthen the fingertips back up to the ceiling and leave them there. Let's bring the palms to face each other. Soften the shoulders if you want to. Maybe do a couple of shoulder drops. Reaching up, dropping down, reaching up, dropping down. So you know that the backs of the shoulder blades are lovely and heavy. We're going to take a breath in As you breathe out, coming back into your spine curl. So tuck the tailbone underneath you. Feel the buttock muscles working as you rise up through the hips, pressing the pubic bone. So the pubic bone is the highest part of your torso. Check in with the rib cage. See if you connect the bottom rib towards the top of the pelvis. We're going to keep the bum lifted. You're going to open the arms as you breathe in, close as you breathe out. Keeping the bum lifted. 2 more. Breathe in. And close. Breathe out. Last one. Breathe in. Bottom lifted. Breathe out. Now stay here if you can. This can be a little bit of a killer for the hamstrings and the bum, so I didn't give you much warning. I appreciate and I apologise in advance. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, keep lifted in the bum. We're going to lengthen your right leg away. Keep squeezing the ball if it's there, otherwise keeping the knees level. Bring that foot back. Other side, lengthen the leg away without tipping that side of your bum. And release the foot down, breathe in. And breathe out, roll the spine down. As you do so, lengthen the arms back behind you. And then float the arms all the way back up and release the arms down. Let's just take a moment to kind of notice the sensations in your body. Breathing in, breathing out. Now you've got warning of what we were going to do. You might feel like it's a bit easier because you know what's coming. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, floating the arms up, palms facing towards each other, soften those shoulders. So the arm bones kind of dropping into their sockets. You're reaching up, but you're also grounded. Ball between the knees, inner thighs active. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, wheeling through the spine, pressing up through the hips. Nice and strong in the bum. 3 openings of the arm first. So breathe in to open. Breathe out, pressing like an accordion, closing. And 2 more. Keeping that active tummy. So see if you can connect the bottom rib to the top of the hips. Actively drawing in through the lower belly, pressing the buttocks. So really strong through the lower part of your body. Last one. I think I'm doing 4, but I do apologise. Now from here, you can bring the arms down if you feel that might give you a little bit more power in your torso. Bottom nice and strong. We're going to reach the right leg away and then release it down. That's my weak side there. I feel really strong on the other side, but that side is droppy bottom central. Let's lengthen through the leg and release it down. Breathing in, breathing out, roll the spine down as you reach the arms back. And then float the arms and release them all the way down. Well done, guys. Either now bring the feet and the feet and knees, or just the feet if your knees are around your ball. So as ever, we're going to have a couple of levels for this. Bring the arms quite wide, palms facing up. Either I would like you to come into your hip roll, which involves twisting through the spine with the knees around your ball. Or, if you don't have a ball, keeping those knees glued together. So imagine you're holding a 50-pound note. You don't want it to be snatched away from you by me reaching into your computer. So either we're going to keep the feet down and have our little hip rolls, or if you're feeling like your abdominals want a little bit more work and you're not kind of too fatigued, we're going to do the same but with the feet up. Keeping the feet connected and the ball squeezed in between the knees. Now if you don't have the ball, the knees are a real guide for how the thighs are working in the pelvis. So we don't want them to pull away from each other. We want them to be working as one, as if you're wearing one legging around both legs. Breathing in, whichever position you're adopting. If you're taking the legs up, on and out breath, drawing through the lower belly and float the knees consciously up in towards your center. So we're active through the center. We're not just kind of hanging off the pelvis. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's just twist through the pelvis. So you're, as if you're dipping to the left side of your clock face, but you're happening to take the legs with them this time too. And then back through center, let's go the other way. So keep the shoulders nice and heavy, and we're just twisting through the hips. Keep those thighs drawing in towards you a little bit. So we don't want them to drape and hang into the lower back. We want to feel like you're consciously, actively drawing those thigh bones towards you, connecting into the lower belly. Let's do 2 more either side. Look through center, keep the feet down if you know that that's better for your spine, or you feel like your tummy just doesn't really want to do any more work tonight. That's totally acceptable. 1 more either side. And finishing off to, well, it's my right, it might be your left. That's totally fine as well. Back through center. Take the ball away. Bring the knees into your chest to softly roll from side to side. Just going to check in with the time. Oh, blimey, guys, sorry, I'm running. Got too excited by my buttocks strengthening. So let's just softly relax your shoulders. Maybe bring the knees, bring the hands rather through the knees so you can let the inner thighs relax. Coming into a little inner thigh stretch. Breathe into any and all sensations that you find within the body. And really take a moment to kind of let the heart rate soften. Let's just come into a little hip flex and stretch, bringing the knees together. Take your left knee in towards you, release the right leg away. So trying to open up into that hip joint, relax the shoulders, breathe slowly. And then coming back through center with that right knee, send the left leg away, opening into the hip. Find the back of the leg on the floor if you can. So imagine I'm kind of sitting on your thigh bone. I promise I would never actually do that. Relaxing the shoulders. And then come back through center. And let's find your comfortable space for your final little relaxation. I might just leave you a little bit sooner than before, seeing as I've already gone slightly over the time. So either drape your legs over the bed or sofa, whatever you might find near you, or rest your legs up against the wall, or soles of the feet together, knees releasing apart over a pillow or bolster. You get the picture, whatever you feel comfortable with, but I want you to really be able to switch off all of your major joints. So think about the shoulders, feel supported in the head. Think about the hips, feel supported in the back. So try and really allow yourself to be fully held and supported by the earth underneath you. Make sure you're super, super comfortable. Close your eyes. You can either take your hands somewhere on the torso, maybe one hand on your heart center, the other hand on your belly, or both on your belly, or releasing them down by your side, whichever works for you, being able to softly tune into how your body's feeling. And I'm going to invite you just to monitor and observe your breath. See if you can just look at how your breath cycle feels to you. Taking a lovely deep and long inhalation. Notice the space in between the inhalation and the following exhalation. And then release that breath out. Observe that tiny space before you then take the next breath in. And then release. So observe the next kind of 5 breath cycles. Notice for you where your comfortable place is. Do you feel comfortable around the upward of the inhale? Around that space between the in and the exhale? Do you like that release and softness of the exhale? Or the preparation for the following inhale? Tune into where your breath pattern suits you. And really observe the sensations of the breath at every point within that cycle. So where do you feel it? Is it your nose, throat, and the back of the jaw? Is it through the chest, around the base of the ribs, maybe all the way down towards that bottom rib? Is it in the belly? And then as you release the breath out, where can you feel that traveling of the breath? Just softly observe for you that breath cycle, the in-breath, the out-breath, and the spaces in between. See if with every breath you can just let go of any tension around those joints of the body, so the hips, the shoulders, around the base of the spine, those intervertebral joints. Think about releasing a little bit of softness and space in between each bone of your spine. Can you notice any tension through the features of your face? See if you can relax the jaw, soften the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax the forehead and the space between the eyebrows. And then just gently honour the nervous system response here. See if you can maintain this sense of serenity within your body. Stay here for as long as you feel nourished and supported. As long as you feel comfortable. And know that comfort is the first step in any self-compassion. Am I comfortable? Allow that to be your mantra for the day. And I will leave you here for as long as you need to be here. See you next week, guys. Next week, if you can, we're going to use the stretchy band. So I will see you next week. Good night.